Hey, art nerds, the first element we are going to be talking about in class is the element of line, one of 7 art elements that we'll be talking about. Now, before you watch any more of this video, I actually want you to watch this other video, and I'll post a link for it in the description below. So check that out and then come back and jump back in on this video. So, line might be very familiar to you guys. You may have done a lot of line drawings before. It's basically the basics for any work of art. And we define line as a path made by a moving point through space. Okay. And when I say it is one dimensional, it means that it's flat and it can vary in width, direction, and length. So you can have skinny lines, fat lines, lines that go side to side. That's a horizontal line. Vertical lines, the ones that go straight up and down. They can be diagonal, zigzag, wavy, curved. Okay. They can be very short lines. They can be very long lines. They can overlap each other. So there is a lot of variety that is a line. Now, lines can do 3 main things. We're going to be talking about each of them, and I'll have some examples for you. The first is that lines can define an edge, and we refer to that type of line as a contour line. Think coloring book, and I'll show you an image in just a little bit. The second is that lines show direction, okay? They make your eyes look to a certain spot. Now, they can be a very obvious line, so maybe like an arrow pointing at which way to go. But it also might be a little bit more hidden, and we'll see that in our 4th artist example towards the end of this video. And finally, lines can express emotion, okay? There's lines that make you feel a little bit more happy. Things are a little bit more angry, maybe sad, okay? And there's different types of lines that share that. So here are a contour line versus a non-contour image, okay? So I basically have a picture of a shoe, and there is a drawing that you see on the left-hand side that is a contour line drawing of a shoe. So it kind of looks like a coloring book. So this is our line drawing, okay? It has the outside edges, and it has a more simplified aspect as to the photograph that we have on the other side. Now, the photograph doesn't exactly have line. It has more shape, color, and value. The color's red. The value means the lights and darks. So we have light red and dark red and medium red. That's what makes it look 3-dimensional or makes it look like a real shoe. And we'll talk more about shape, color, and value in later videos. Now we have lines that show direction, okay, making your eyes look at a certain spot, okay. If you take a look at the image on the far left, where do you end up looking? You might actually follow that spiral all the way to the middle. And that's kind of like what my eyes do too. If you started in the middle and then your eyes went outwards, that also works. Okay, it goes both ways, but line making us look a certain direction. Now in that second image, we got our wonderful Superman. And there's a specific part of the image that the lines are making us look at. Okay, the lines are those red and yellow lines that are in the background. It's sort of like a starburst kind of design. And those lines are all leading straight to Superman's face because that's the most important part of the image. And finally, we have lines that show direction in an actual living space. So this is someone's living room, kind of a funky living room. And they have horizontal lines, black and white, painted on their walls. And they also have some decorations and stuff in their house that make us, look another way as well because of the lines. So we have first the lines, the horizontal lines that are across their walls. And that sort of makes our eyes travel around the perimeter, around the edge of the room. And then we also have the zigzag lines on the rug there. And the lines in the zigzag kind of have almost like pointy arrows directing us towards the wall to look at it again. So line can show direction. Finally, line can show emotion, okay? And each of these lines can show you a different emotion, okay? This is not like a law or anything, but this is sort of like a guideline as to what most people attribute or they match an emotion to these lines. And the first one we have here is a happy line, kind of like a happy, bouncy, almost the start of it looks like a smiley face. Okay, so a happy line. Then we got a sad line where things are a little bit slow, a little bit more mellow, kind of boring. Then we got an angry line, okay? Zigzags, almost like you're scribbling on your paper because you're really upset. Then we got some strong lines, okay? Nice, crisp lines, straight lines, hard, sharp corners. Makes me think of the top edge of a castle. And castles are very strong, so that's what I'm kind of thinking of when I look at it. And then we have a weak line, okay? It almost looks like they're barely able to hold on the pencil and it's dragging across the paper. So lines can show emotion. Here's our first example of an artist that uses line. Okay, her name is Bridget Riley. She's an op artist who creates optical illusions in her artwork. So it kind of plays eye tricks. And this work of art is a great example of using line. That's all she has in her painting. She has white and black sort of wavy lines. And if you look at it too long, you actually might like think it's moving. And it's not moving. It's just kind of a trick of the eye with how she painted it, with the alternating colors and also the varying widths. So parts of the lines are skinny, parts of the lines are fat. And it's just a really fun painting to look at. So this was done in 1964. Our second one is by a man named Keith Haring. And Keith Haring got really popular because he started doing drawings with these kind of simple figures in the subways of New York. And then he got super popular. Anyway, we have some really nice contour lines or lines that make an edge of something in this one. And it's actually outlining each of the figures inside this image. So the 4 green figures you see, and also the large red figure. You also have some directional lines that are kind of wavy across the top and bottom, making you kind of look across the image. And then finally, you have some motion and texture lines. The motion lines you can see over by the green figures. It kind of makes them look like they're running or sliding down the person like a slide. And then we also have those red, in the yellow section, we have some like dots. And that kind of makes us think that it's more like a rocky kind of texture on the bottom of the image. But it's super simplified, so we only can make a guess as to what kind of texture it is. Now we have Leonardo da Vinci. You may have heard his name before. He's the man who painted the Mona Lisa, which you may be familiar with. Now, he uses line to create texture. Okay, if you look close at this self-portrait, this drawing that he made of himself back in 1512, he uses more lines and different types of lines in places that are supposed to represent hair in his beard and his eyebrows than he does on his skin and lines that outline parts of his face. And that's something that's really cool with line as well, because depending on how many lines you use, whether or not they overlap and the direction and type they can change the texture that you see within an image. And finally, we have a work by Rembrandt from 1642. And this one's kind of tricky to see the lines. If you look really closely, especially in the people in the background, they're holding poles and flags, and there's a couple people with muskets. And a lot of these items are bringing your eyes back to the 2 figures in the center, the one in the black and the one in the white. Now, not only are these lines directing towards those center figures, but it's more specifically directing us towards the man in the black. And we can tell that because we also have the man in the white who's looking at the man in the black. Okay. And when we're talking about direction, if we have everyone looking at the person in the middle, where else are we going to look? Well, obviously there's something to look at. So we're looking at the man in the middle as well. And you'll find several people in this painting that are looking at that man in the center. Now, finally, I'd like you guys to check out this video. It is an artist named Heather Hansen, and she's sort of like a dancer / an artist. She was curious as to what it would look like if dancers had drawing utensils like charcoal or paint within their hands while they're dancing. And this is just a really cool video showing you another way that line can be used to make some really cool stuff.